so much for having me out here for this Anderson Campfire event. Can't tell you guys how great it is to be back on campus. It's like coming home. It's especially good because it's Anderson afternoon, and I didn't have to go to class or worry about lecture all week like you guys, so it's pretty awesome. So like Saki said, my name is Ali Kermani. I am the VP of New Initiatives at Razer USA, and I'm also a member of the 2009 graduating class here at Anderson. While I was at Anderson for my 2 years, I was basically completely focused on one thing and one thing only, and that was bringing a project called the Crazy Cart to market. Now, the Crazy Cart, for those of you that don't know, is basically a drifting, spinning go-kart that's able to drive in any and every direction, and it is, in my opinion, the funnest product that's ever been put out. My humble and unbiased opinion. Now, I'm going to try to do two things here. And actually, I'm going to start off by being really honest with you guys. When they first told me about this event, they said, listen, you got about 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm going to just be upfront. We're going to use all 15 minutes because I'm going to try to do two things today. I'm going to do what they asked me to do, and I'm going to recap for you guys the 10-year path I took from idea to implementation with the Crazy Cart. But I'm also going to try to do something that I think is of much more value for everyone in this room. And that's to parse out 3 actionable takeaways that each and every one of you guys can use to find and follow your own path to success. So if we're going to do all that, we better get started and go back in time to 2004 when the Crazy Cart first came about. Now, the origin of the Crazy Cart was a project. It was a charge that Razer had given our R&D team, and that was to reimagine the traditional bumper car for home use. And the original Crazy Cart didn't look much like this. In fact, it looked a lot more like this. A lot more complicated, a lot more rough, and a lot more parts, as you can see. Now, the original concept was, we started off with a traditional bumper car, 3 wheels, front wheel that's powered, 2 back wheels that are fixed, and you see those there. And a friend of mine, Tom Schubeck, came up with this concept of adding a linkage system and a couple extra wheels in the back on a second axle that were caster wheels. And so the net effect was, well, when he first put it on, we didn't know what the net effect was. So he put it together, and we all decided to just hop it in and start trying it out. And immediately I fell in love. The effect of the bar was when the bar was up and the fixed wheels were down, it drove like a normal go-kart or a normal car. Chassis traces the front. But when you pulled that bar up, it replaced the wheels with caster wheels, and it could spin and drift and drive like it's on ice. It was completely out of control, and as I said before, it was the most fun I'd had on an electric vehicle. And so I remember jumping up and down and being like, oh my God, dude, you did it. This is going to be Toy of the Year. This is going to be Toy of the Year. This is going to be Toy of the Year. And those words haunted me for 10 years. Because what happened next, I could have never anticipated. I went over and I got the president of the company, and I brought him in and I said, look what they got. This is amazing. It's going to be Toy of the Year. And the owner came out and he looked at it and he watched us play with it for a little bit. And he said, oh, it's cute, but no. And I said, well, why not? What do you mean no? This thing is the best. This is amazing. And he quickly started delineating all sorts of reasons why the answer was no. First thing he said was no, because it's too complicated. He said there's too many wheels and the linkage system. It's just not something that we can reliably make for the mass market. And then he said, and because it's so complicated and there's so many parts, it's too expensive. And I thought, those are 2 good points. I hope he stops there. But he kept on going, and he said, watching you guys drive it looks a little too uncontrollable. We sell products for kids, and they need to be in control. And then he put the 4th no. Well, he probably gave a couple more, but these are the 4 that I always took away. And the 4th one really shocked me, because he said it was too new. And I thought, too new? Isn't that like the whole idea behind innovation and invention, like have something that's brand new? But he explained, look, with an idea like this that's completely unprecedented, it's not like a scooter or a skateboard or a bicycle where people understand what it is, and all you have to do is deliver value on it. You have to deliver a better version of it. In this case, we'd have the dual onus of not only creating desire, but also creating understanding and awareness of what the item is. Nobody knows what a Crazy Cart is. And the only good way to do that in a mass scale at that time was television, and that's expensive. Too big of a risk for us to take on an item that's untested. And so with those 4 no's, we all kind of looked at each other, and everyone was a little deflated. And the project pretty much came to a stop there. In fact, for the rest of 2004, despite talking about it and using every break I had at work to ride the thing and show him how awesome it is, the answer was no. And then 2005 came along. And all through 2005, we had product development meetings, as we always do. And every time they said, has anyone got any ideas for an item? I would always be bouncing up in the back and say, oh yeah, the crazy cart. We should do the crazy cart. And the answer was no. But 2006 came along. And in 2006, well, the answer was still no. Things didn't really change until 2007. And what changed in 2007 wasn't that they stopped saying no. What changed was the venue that I was in. I actually picked up in 2007 and came to Anderson. I thought I was going to come to Anderson and go take off and become a stockbroker. But quickly realized that that wasn't really where my passion was and wasn't really where my strengths were. And so I sort of regrouped and thought, actually, let me use an Anderson buzzword. I pivoted and, and I thought, man, I would really love to be pursuing the crazy cart. This is supposed to be an entrepreneurial school. I really have a big passion for that item. I want to work on it here. And I'll spare you guys all the details because we have only a few minutes left. But the school actually was very, very flexible and very willing to work with me and help me arrange the classes in such a way that it really served what I was trying to do. And so I started working on the project all day, all night. In fact, it was all I was doing. And what I was specifically doing was I was trying to address those no's. I was trying to fix the problems that were the stop signs that were telling me you can't move ahead. And I remember it was one day in a finance class as I was not paying attention as usual and doodling in my notebook that I stumbled upon an idea. And it came in the margin of my notebook. And the idea was this drift bar concept. And I was thinking, how could I address that first no? It's too complicated. And I looked at the cart and I saw, look, there's 4 wheels in the back in this linkage system. How can I simplify that? And I stumbled upon this idea of just having a bar that changed the angle of the wheels. So that in my mind, it seemed like when the bar was up, the wheels were flat and the thing would spin around like the caster wheels. And when the bar was down, the wheels would be at an angle and not free to completely spin around. So it could work like fixed wheels. And so what I decided to do that summer between my first and second year was get somebody to help me CAD this thing up. And with limited budget, I decided to just stroll down campus, and I went to the undergrad engineering school, and I showed them my idea, my drawing, and I said, is there anybody here who would help me out? Well, they hooked me up with 2 undergrad students who helped me do this. And this is just one of many CADs, and it's actually a 3D CAD, so you could actually test it out and see where the stresses were. Well, the thing that I saw when I saw this was, this is very simple. And in fact, there's not a lot going on there. We might have addressed 2 no's, because this thing might be less expensive. So less expensive that it might address that second stop sign. And so I decided, you know what? I got a little bit of money, and I got some winnings from different Anderson events, including the Wolfen Award, the NAP, the venture competitions. So I thought, okay, I'm gonna throw some money into this thing and get this thing made. And so we made it. And something awesome happened as I pursued that path. Even though it hadn't been lit the whole way, it started to light itself. We had addressed the first no, and we had come up with something that was less complicated. We had addressed the second no, and this thing cost a lot less to make than any previous crazy cart. But what I didn't expect was that we had addressed the third no, that it was too uncontrollable. You see, as opposed to the original design that had 2 sets of wheels and was basically either completely in control or completely out of control, with this, as you lifted the bar, it would change the angle dynamically. So it actually worked almost like a steering wheel for the back half of the cart. And now I could drift and drive it like better than any professional drifter in the world. In fact, all I did, I would say, for the last month of summer was practice on this thing and play and chalk it up to work. So I felt like I had 3 of the no's down. And I thought, okay, this is a winning hand. So I went all in. I put my entire life savings in, put everything I had, and the next step for me was to patent protect this. So I went and found a very expensive lawyer right here in Century City, and I filed for a provisional patent. Now, we went through the second year of school. It was awesome. We did the BCO. Bill Cockrum helped us out. The Price Center helped us out. I mean, everybody in school helped us out. So if you guys have an idea, this is the place to incubate it. But what happened at the end of that was it was time for graduation. And with a new design, a proven design, new CAD work on it, and something that was really better than what I had come in with, I really felt like a superhero at graduation. In fact, I kind of looked like a superhero at graduation. So about to fly out of Anderson and go out into the world and do it on my own, Razor came back to me and said, hey, this is awesome. Why don't you come bring it back to Razor? And I said, what? You guys said no. And they're like, that was then. This is now. Look at how much you've done. And I thought, this is great. This is a homecoming. This is going to be the year of the crazy cart. Here we go. 2009, Toy of the year. So then the second half of 2009 came along, and I found out the reality, which is we don't have time to make this thing and take it to market. So the answer was no. I thought, okay, well, 2010, we're good for 2010, right? Everybody excited about 2010? They said, well, we already have our product lineup for 2010. So 2010 was a no. But 2011 is going to be the year of the crazy cart. Toy of the year, right? This is going to be it. We're ready to go. Everyone excited? No. And it wasn't really until 2012 that something changed. In 2012, briefly, I basically was told, you're not to take this thing to the toy fair in New York. We don't want you to show it. I know you're excited about it, Ali, but no talking about it. And so, not being one to follow the rules or listen to no, I decided, well, how can I get around that? What do I do? Well, at Anderson, when I didn't have the cart and I was trying to explain it, it always helped to have a little video of the cart. And so what I did was I brought my laptop with my speech and my presentation from all the different events I had done at Anderson. And I snuck it onto the trade show booth with me, and I waited and looked for Toys R Us, and when I found them, I showed them the video. And guess what? They thought this could be Toy of the Year. And so they gave me my first yes. But they said, well, we already have our sets for 2012, so it would have to be in 2013. I thought, okay, 2013, that's fine. It's going to be Toy of the Year in 2013, right? Now, what happened was 2013 came along, and we started getting into the year, and I said, okay, it's time to get prepped. Toys R Us, how many of you guys going to order? How many stores are you going to put this in? And they looked at me and they said, well, 0. And I said, what do you mean 0? You're not going to put it in stores? And they said, no, we're going to put it online. We're going to put it online, and we're going to judge the sales off how it sells. So I found out my yes was actually a yes, but. And so I was taken straight back to that fourth unaddressed no in 2004, right? How am I going to get the word out? I mean, you're going to put a $400 item that no one's ever seen. There's no precedent. They don't understand what it is. You're going to put it online and expect it to sell? It's doomed to flop. And I had less than 2 months. I had about a month and a half before we were going to launch. And I just racked my brain. Well, what do we do? What do you do when you need to get the word out? And I thought back to my time at Anderson. And I thought back to my time at the toy fair. And I thought, videos. YouTube. This is it, right? We're going to make a viral video. Actually, my hope was just to get enough word out to just get some sales, anything. And so I made 2 videos. Well, I made a few videos, but the 2 ones that we'll talk about now are this introducing the crazy cart video, where I had a young guy and then myself behind him. I was supposed to be the big brother, but everybody online was like, him and his dad, him and his dad. Never been so offended. And then the second video that I did was actually a parody of a guy named Ken Block. He's a famous drifter. He has a series of Gymkhana videos. What I did was take 4 photos of his car, put them on a cardboard box, put it around the crazy cart, and create Ken Box. Everybody at work thought I was crazy. It wound up getting 1 million views in a week, and both these videos went viral. Now, the path that they followed was very similar. What I did was I took my actual learning from Anderson. It actually applies, guys. I took this adoption curve, and I thought, the first 2 boxes on this adoption curve to cross the chasm are innovators and early adopters. Well, who are my innovators? Who are my early adopters? Well, they're automotive guys, right? So I went ahead and I dropped this thing off with some automotive guys I know, and they put it in forums. And it got spread from forum to forum to forum overnight. And I didn't really realize what would happen until the next day I woke up and there was 1,000 views on my first video. I thought, okay, this is cool. Next morning I woke up, there was 15,000 views. I was like, wow, something's going on. Next morning I got up, it was over 35,000 views. Within a week, there was 1 million views on the first video. This was pretty unbelievable. And in addition to this happening and the views racking up, what happened was people in those forums were automotive guys that wrote articles for big places like Time, Motor Trend, all these different outlets. And so from there, I thought, okay, this is awesome. This is actually, I might get a couple sales, right? Well, the next step I really couldn't have ever imagined, and it was the big change. Within 3 weeks of the initial launch, I started getting some calls from some pretty big traditional media. And the first call I got was from David Letterman. And they said, we want to bring the crazy cart on the show. And I thought, are you kidding me? And he's like, yeah, we want to do it next week. And I thought, oh, we're going to be in New York for a launch. This is perfect. And then we got another call from Jimmy Fallon. And Jimmy Fallon wanted to run it. And it was kind of surreal. It was like a pinch me moment, right? And it just continued. It was on a bunch of other shows. By the end of the year, it was on Queen Latifah. It was on Ellen. It was on Good Morning America. It was on The View. It was on all sorts of shows. And I was like, oh, my God, this is going to happen. And it did happen. 2013 was our year. Now, Toys R Us ordered a full order. They said, make as many as you guys can. And so we did. And by Christmas time, we made and sold out of 30,000 units. And we actually sold out before Christmas. So it was like one of those like, oh my God moments. Now, it was not only a Merry Christmas, it was also a Happy New Year. Every Toys R Us affiliate around the world gave us awards. Hottest new toy, best outdoor item, all throughout. But still, for me, this wasn't the definition of what I was looking for success. What I was looking for was to not be wrong about Toy of the Year. And 2 months after this, we were awarded the 2014 Outdoor Toy of the Year. Okay. This last part is the most important part. Telling you guys what I did, great. Maybe it's a little bit inspiring, but I really want to tell you guys how you guys can take lessons from what I did and apply it to what you're doing. So we'll go a little bit faster. 3 actionable takeaways. The first actionable takeaway is embrace the 4 Ps. The 4 Ps are passion, positivity, persistence, and patience. Okay? Now, I started off with the first 2. That was my original takeaway. Passion and positivity are magnetic because it's so true. When you're passionate about stuff, when you're excited about it, and you're positive, it really is like a magnet. People turn into a mirror. They smile back at you. Look at all these smiling faces I'm seeing right now. This is awesome. Okay. Persistence and patience, I added these when I was putting this deck together because that's the reality. First I put, well, you got to be really persistent. And then I looked at all those no's, all those flat years, and I thought, in addition to persistence, you have to be really patient. Next takeaway, talk about it. This is especially for all you Anderson people, but I hear people with ideas doing this all the time. Oh, I have this great idea. What is it? I can't tell you. You're going to steal it. Nobody is going to steal your idea. And in fact, I'm going to say 2 things about this. Number 1, ideas are a dime a dozen. It's implementation that's worth $1 million, okay? And the second bit about this, it falls right in line with that, is if I tell you my idea and you run off and make it a success before I do, guess what? I wasn't the right person for that idea anyways. You were. So don't be afraid to talk about it. And the real reward that you get from talking about it leads into our third and final takeaway. See, when you talk about it to people, you get feedback, and you get 2 kinds of feedback. You get the, yeah, good job, buddy, you're doing great, and that feels good for your ego and fills your sales. But you also get those no's. And those no's are actually where the real opportunities for growth are. So the third takeaway is confront no. And I think the best way to illustrate this is to quickly take a look back at my path. See, when we look in the rearview mirror, it looks like a smooth road, right? Of course this happened. You had this great idea, and it all fell in place. It was so simple. But I remember way back when I was on the other end of the path, and it looked probably how the road looks to you guys. It looked a lot more like this, really confusing, and I didn't know where to go. And I kept thinking to myself, wouldn't it be nice if there was these trail markers on the path to just tell you success this way, go that way. And that's what I want to tell you guys. If you guys forget every takeaway here, all the 25 minutes I've been talking, what I want you to remember is this. There are trail markers all along the path to success. And those trail markers don't look like this. They look like this. They look like stop signs. But don't be fooled, they're not stop signs because these are issues for you to address. And as you address each no, as someone tells you it's too expensive and you find a way to make it less expensive, guess what? You just move down the path. When they tell you, hey, there's no way this is going to happen, it's too uncontrollable, and you figure out a way to make it more uncontrollable, you move down the path, and so on and so forth until you get down the path to success. So to quickly recap, the term, I know Anderson, I was here, I know how everybody is. We love our buzzwords. So here's our buzzword, Entrepreneurial Alchemy. And the reason I'm calling it this is because like alchemy, where you're trying to turn lead into gold, here we're trying to turn no's into go's. So quickly, 3 actionable takeaways. You can take a photo, take a mental photo, or you can just remember the last one. And with all that said, there's just one thing left to do. It's your guys' turn.